Hello everyone, welcome to Sportive Mechanics on YouTube. I'm Nicholas.
Today I present to you the brand new MG Cyberster. So Cyberster?
I think it's a first. At least I had never seen one. Electric convertible. What do you think?
A toy like this? Electric, powerful, noiseless, convertible? The sea, the small roads, the pleasure, right?
It's true that before in the Cabriolet Pleasure there was the sound, a little manual transmission, a little bit of noise, all that. It evolves, but I think that, on the other hand, most of the time, often we stroll along pretty nice country roads or we go chill in the city and in reality. Why not this proposal? We will see during this test, can we enjoy being in a car like this, electric or not? Because some will say that there are no noises, I, who am also a fan of sports cars convertibles, we will see what I think about it. I haven't driven it much yet. I'm going to discover it with you directly so we can get the first impressions.
There, I've driven 2 kilometers and honestly 510 horsepower, it's nonsense.
Well, so this MG Cyberster, it currently starts at 67,990 euros, 68,000.
There are a few more options, such as the paint arriving in early 2025.
Here, I have it in a version that is not yet produced for France, but which will arrive in a 100th anniversary version, which will be among the first. Because, MG is 100 years old, it was created in 1924. And by the way, don't hesitate to put in the comments if you know what MG means.
Yes, because it does have a meaning after all, as it often does. And these are names just in case, like the ACB at Aston Martin.
You know it was David Brown, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I must not say nonsense on the internet because otherwise I know you are there.
So, this version, for now, is launching in 4-wheel drive only, with 2 engines, 1 engine at the front, 1 engine at the back, 4-wheel drive.
So, it's based on the chassis of the MG4 X-Power. We have the big battery of the MG4 and different engines. A specific engine at the back, which makes it 340 horsepower, and an engine at the front, which is the same as the MG4, which makes 204 horsepower positioned here at the front.
So that gives us a total of 510 horsepower, and honestly it works quite well.
We have a 0 to 100 in 3.2 seconds. We have performances that are quite respectable.
They even announce us a supercar braking basically, with 100 to 0 in only 33 meters, which is frankly not ridiculous.
In terms of proposals, there will later be a rear-wheel drive version that will arrive.
So, it will surely make the 340 horses announced by this rear engine. I can't wait to test the rear-wheel drive version. It might have a bit more fun side than this helmet, which is quite rigorous. This version, with this 77 kW battery, is announced for 443 kilometers of autonomy. So, we have a consumption, if we have a little fun normally, around 20 kW per 100. The propulsion version will offer 314 miles of autonomy. Naturally, all of this is based on worldwide harmonized light vehicles test procedure standards. In terms of charging, we can recharge up to 144 kW, and it takes about half an hour for 10 to 80%. Like most electric cars, we also have the V2L.
An adapter can turn this car into a power bank for the house, allowing us to plug in appliances like the oven and microwave.
Or, if we no longer have power at home, we can plug into it. It often goes up to around 2000 W, which can be enough to have lighting or other most of the time. In terms of size, it may seem small like this, but in fact, it's not that small.
If we really take the size, it's within a few millimeters, the same size as a Porsche 911 992.
So it's still a big baby.
4.53 meters long, 1.91 meters wide, and 1.32 meters high. What you need to know is that with the doors deployed wide open, because the doors you saw, they open like this.
That makes 2.36 meters. Because I press my little button. Here, what's great is that, look, it moves aside. From this, and often with this, when we open a door, but we can't get out. Because if we open from this, it means that only this remains, and it's complicated. Here, it eases the exit and often provides space to open doors in this manner. There are sensors on the sides, on the top, so that it doesn't hit. Since it's an automatic door, we can't open it. In manual mode, there is no handle to pull. I press the button. There are detectors and sensors like those on parking radars here and there. And look, if I stand here, for example, it won't open any further with a little beep because it thinks, Nico, there's something there. I can't open, I'm afraid of getting scratched. So, it's not as stupid as that. And as long as I don't push myself, she won't want to open. And even on top, normally we have a sensor, and there it opens. Sensor, so it's still quite secure.
While we're on the side, we have a pretty perfect weight distribution on this car. We have a 50-50 distribution.
That is, we have the battery pack in the middle, a motor in the back, a motor in the front. The balance, we have placed the seats so that the balance is well done when we see ourselves in it, and that we have the weight perfectly balanced between the front and the back. A more balanced car is typically healthier in terms of behavior.
We'll see what it gives on the road, because we have some signs here. There should be something to have fun with 510 horses.
As it's a sporty car, they've limited the top speed to 124 miles h, which is usually quite sufficient. By positioning ourselves at the front, we see a very plunging nose. On this car that brings us to the MG logo, it is almost at 45 degrees in the end, so much that it's inclined here with these stripes that lead to the MG logo.
As was the case with the first car, where it was a little more curved at the logo. Under this hood, we can open it.
Only a large plastic part with Cyberster written on it is present. It would have been nice to have a small frunk, but there's nothing to do about it. And even on the versions that are only rear-wheel drive, there will be no space at the front. Unfortunately, we have driving aids like on most recent cars, level 2 driving, etc. It's a pretty cool camera up there with a sensor at the front. In short, it's quite good. We have the lights here, 100% LED, of course, with the signature here, with the 3 points plus, the optical blocks here, directly LED. We have a pretty good night vision. It's not too bad.
We have air intakes on the sides here to create the air curtain and play on the aerodynamics.
Since this car has a 110 of 0.269, basically 0.27.
When we lean slightly, like the view from here, it nearly feels like seeing a McLaren. In fact, in terms of shapes, the aerodynamic size, it's very well worked out, and there are places on this car.
I say, wow, it's still really nice place by place, even if the overall shape is still very successful.
There are some places I say there is work. It's really very, very cool, and they're seen from here that it's rather nice. Even if we cut it in half, it almost seems to be smiling with its little eye and mouth. I'm happy. I don't know if you feel the same way too.
We have a small piece of blade on the side here. It plays a little bit for the support, very slightly, but at high speed. The air intake's there, the front grille to cool down, the battery pack, the hook that we put there, the plate with its rather well integrated support, and this vertical part here at the front, which we would also find at the back, which divides the car in two.
I like these symmetrical parts, as I mentioned, 1.81 meters. And if I open the doors, it's not that wide, because when we open the doors on a car wide, it often looks much wider. Well, come on, admit that it has style.
And then we sit on it like this. It works, right? What do you think about it? When you show up at your mother-in-law's with this, you're going to open the doors. She's going to be, wow, admit it. It's classy just for that. That's cool.
So it's the first time there's a canvas roof with elytra doors like this. And on top of that, there are electric doors. And I admit that the electric side of it is pretty good, because most people who buy new cars in France are over 60. At a certain age, we lose the desire to put in too much effort. Pressing a button is still a lot easier. On the side of this car, it has quite nice lines. They said that on the back, on this part here, they tried to work it a little bit like a Ferrari 250 Gran Turismo Omologato. I like this car in parts. The vertical cut on the front is appealing. There are many aspects I appreciate. Let me reattach the soft roof for you.
Let's discuss the technical equipment, like the gull wing doors that open. I'll demonstrate it again for you.
On the side, therefore, the electric side, as I was saying, it was quite practical. And inside, you will see when we go in. We have a very nice finish right here. We have a fairly simple side with rounded edges. We still have a few tight lines.
It's not on this color that it's most noticeable. On others, like the red one, it's a little more striking.
We haven't discussed colors yet. Stay put while I tell you the color names I received in a text message yesterday. We will have the New English White, which is this one. So a kind of color, a little bit Porsche, I feel. One.
Kind of beige gray.
We will have the Camden Grey, the Cosmic Silver, the Dynamic Red, and the Inca Yellow, the red and the yellow.
I must admit that I'm quite a fan. I, for one, love flashy colors. For this car model, you can choose between red and black tops. Interior color options include white, grey and black. According to the configurations arriving in France later, it will be a little bit at the beginning of 2025. On the front, we have on this version 4-wheel drive, 20-inch rims, 20 inches at the front, 20 inches at the back. It will be 19.
On the rear-wheel drive versions, we might have the 20-inch option to see at that time. We have big Brembo brakes here, 4 pistons on the front. It has been reworked.
On the X-Power finish of the MG4, we basically had the same platform, but we had brakes. A big single piston with a hidden block with a kind of caliper embellisher. They said it's faster, more powerful, and they need to make it cooler to sell for a higher price. The total cost is 68,000 euros, including taxes and penalties imposed by France, as the car is imported from China. All included for 68,000 euros, 510 horses, in a 100% electric vehicle.
I don't find it unreasonable though, in terms of price positioning. It's a pleasure car, usually the second or third vehicle in the household, and remains so, because...
Not, as I say, why not tires? Specific Pirelli P0 for electric on this version. We have this place that looks a bit like the stop we found on the Corvettes. That reminds me a bit of the Stingray there, right here. We have a black part that goes around with the same black uprights here.
And the little blade here with a sort of little wing on the side, which maybe plays a bit on the aerodynamics.
The badge, celebrating the 100th anniversary, will feature on the first editions of this car, designed to optimize airflow. And then, on the back, it goes down a little bit like this, and this ducktail here, and then something very vertical. And when I put the top back on this car, hop, I'm going to go back inside, I slide quite easily into it. What's good is that it's not too low. I press my little button to close the door. And then, 10 seconds. And we have up to 50 kilometers per hour to be able to flip or unflip.
That's pretty good. And then he
closes the windows. And then it's true that she has a completely different style.
And the advantage of this is that we can enjoy it all year round.
This time, don't forget the little button here to close it. In short, it brings a radically different look to this car. And with this contrast of red and off-white beige, it gets me. It's reminiscent of the 911 which we discussed earlier. I've seen similar setups and it's quite nice. The roof, by the way, is triple layered in terms of the mechanism system. They announced to us yesterday that it was the manufacturer of what was being done on the BMW Z4 who also made this system. So it should be pretty reliable, and I admit that the texture here, nice, with a real glass window at the back. We will have another advantage. It's that the trunk does not change in volume. Whether we are roofed, hooded or unhooded, we do not escape the rule. A 3/4 rear shot showcases its well-rounded hips and shape. This black band here that comes around a bit, so it doesn't come flush here, it goes around further. It's quite original, why not with the MG noted over there? And so, it starts here, where it's much more straight cut. That's also for aerodynamics, as we often say. It needs to cleanly cut through the air so there's no airflow here at the back. With little things that spin like this, that come here, it needs to cut and go as straight as possible. This impacts 110 and battery life. A round design could reduce autonomy by nearly 12.4 miles.
That's crazy, the things with air. We don't think about it, but I would like to make a video one day.
Testing parts in a wind tunnel would be fascinating to observe the exact airflow behavior. Does anyone have a wind tunnel around here? Full back? MG has bet on something totally atypical with that, those arrows. Here, so I had never seen that. So apparently it's more to remind of the Union Jack, because MG was an English brand, and it's to remind what was on the flag. You know, actually we have arrows like that. They thought, well, yeah, it reminds a little bit, so I saw more the arrow of the blinker. But actually, no, it's not that. The blinker is just in the corner, here. It's not the whole arrow. I would have loved it if it made me turn right or left. It would have been funny.
Well, with this signature at night, you are sure and certain to be recognized. MG.
It's not stupid. The luminous signature, it plays a huge role in the recognition of a brand. And the same as it's an electric car, you have to play on the aerodynamic side, so it's well smoothed here. Glass window with the MG logo prominently displayed in the center, ensuring visibility to all. The third one, which is integrated there, very well integrated, with really a very slight port.
This part that goes up a bit like a duck, the Cyberster, which is marked here. The camera, because we have the 360 camera pack. Thank you, MG. To do this kind of thing also on cars like this, because rear camera there, then the back there, it's well widened, it's well hollowed out. We have all the style codes that are good. A little lower, everything is painted. This diffuser there painted in black with the body color reminder. Here, to widen and pull a little more, it's very marked, even more the character. It's rather nice. This vertical version was also found at the front, on the center, which really divides the car in two, and the light here, right in the center. To open the body, I press this button, then it's manual. The trunk itself is 249 liters in terms of the size of the trunk, which is good if the measurements it does.
90 like this, 90 like this, over 30 centimeters high.
There's some space in the Cataram. I was scolded. 200. 49 liters. So Nico doesn't fit, whatever there is. The cable is a little bit annoying. Don't move the cow. If I make a little more effort, I remove the cable and that I contort a bit, but I'm not sure to get out. After Nico actually fits inside, we can hide a small child in it. I mean, I do not recommend doing that. Anyway, he has a little bit of space to go away for the weekend. In reality, it's quite spacious. Underneath, there was the puncture repair kit. You now know my passion for car tours. It still has a very beautiful line. In fact, it's a car you want in your garage. Looking at it that way, it's still desirable. This car is beautiful.
Yeah, I could sit down, look at it there. With this landscape, it has shapes for me.
A little bit of Alpha 8. It's the mix full of things with this part. Curved, a little bit rounded. These large rims, well spread out at the four corners. Honestly, it's rather stylish. This red soft top, it could have many possible configurations, even with a beautiful English green, a slightly brown interior. It would be incredible. That there, this rear with its lights, I love it. It's so original, this coupe rear there. But really in the style of a vintage sports car. Look at these rims with this design. How well does it stand out? The camera, the charging port is on this side, this hood, the big brakes. Here, honestly, no matter the side, it still looks super good. The small opening, this welcome to. Which car has that? Not even a Lamborghini is automatic. They have me considering a small Porsche, Ali.
Interior,
It resembles red and black seat, for now only, of this color. It will come with other versions a little later.
Finally, frankly.
When we see it inside, these contrasts and others, then it's not real leather, it's imitation. It appeared to be imitation. It's not real leather everywhere. It's called dynamic, it's a kind of Alcantara, it's a bit the same. And even the doors, look at the finish of the doors, it's nice. We have the little boxes here for glasses storage, that there, plus without the impression that these are vices. These are just decorative inserts, but it's nice. This is to close the door, and there we have the LED strip that was hidden in there. Honestly, I go inside, I feel in my pilot's cockpit, because look, these three screens are turned towards me, this steering wheel here. In short, we enter very, very cool. To close the door, everything by button. Do not force too much in this car there, and it makes my door for me. And there is the seat closed in the position in which I put them, because I buttoned the seat. Welcome position. I'm at the max position, suitable for very tall people. Try adjusting it before reaching this point. What I can't recline the backrest more than this, I am at the max. I can raise it a bit, but it always leaves a little bit of space for the back. So, from a steering wheel point of view, look at this beautiful steering wheel. It's really very nice. With this kind of hyper pleasant red. The little satellites there, like we find at Audi, for example, which we now find at Cupra, so they are a little bit inspired. They borrowed the best features from others, like the steering wheel. It's beautiful, even the MG logo to the touch, it's very pleasant. We have what they call KERS here, used for energy recovery. I have mode 1, 2, 3, or also automatic. If I stay pressed there, and after, I have the S Sport mode, so the regeneration. On this side, we can see a counter that goes up to 10,000, but that's just to give you an impression. In fact, it's at 100%, but they brought this virtual counter side to give you a usage in percentage. So they put 20 to remind you. On a contour, when marked Vince and X10 or X10 0, it means 2000 rounds per minute. And so here, it's basically the percentage of power consumed. On the right, we have the driving modes on this side, with the little mode button right here. And when I press mode, we can see that down there. It switches here to sport, it switches to custom, which I set. It switches to comfort, sport or custom. But there is a fourth mode located right here called Super Sport. And there we have all the power.
And there, I admit that you will see later, I tried a few meters, it turns your stomach a little bit.
Here we have the controls to change the information on the screen here. So I press this button, it changes the information I have down there. I press this button, it changes the information I have on this screen. I press this button, it changes the information I have
on this screen here, and touch in case you need this screen here, and touch in case you need. This one is not touch, it's the central screen. As usual, never silent, and on no car in the center, we have a camera here for attention detection. All this thing to deactivate each time, because it's really annoying on this side, flashing headlight call.
And we even have an auto fire mode on this side, it's the windshield wipers. And then here we have the driving aids with the steering wheel. I press adaptive cruise control, level 2 driving, all this.
Or to the hospital, depending on how I adjust them. On this side, we have this okay.
There it tells me, yeah, okay, fasten the seatbelt, switch to drive mode, put the thing change. Yes, okay. It actually tells me everything I need to do to be able to activate it. Voice command here, picked up the phone, the volume, changed the radio, and scroll through the information right here with these keys there.
With 3 different screens, we still have something quite complex to understand, as it's quite special.
Little thing you can see. So, depending on how you're going to drive, close or far from the steering wheel, you're going to be able to see more or less of these screens. If you drive a little closer with the steering wheel pulled towards you, you'll see this one well. However, to see the global positioning system, you would have to shift your position slightly.
So the idea is very good to say, hey, we're going to make a really pilot thing for you. Otherwise, you have to advance the steering wheel to the maximum.
It gives us a little bit of better visibility, but personally, I need to have a good driving position. We have the seat adjustment that is done right here, with memory on 2 positions and the closures. We can see the window controls here and the mirror controls. We can also fold the mirrors from this point, from there.
And as I was telling you, the little storage box here for glasses or whatever you want.
We have Sonobus with a very nice speaker, a little bit lower.
Something to open the hood, the handbrake, headlight height adjustment, and a vent on each side.
You can see that the finish here, 6mm, extends there, and it really extends everywhere. So we have a kind of 6mm extended leather, Sonobos.
There, over there, we have a good quality sound in the car, and then there, the Dynamica inside.
And actually, when you see, it's really very, very nice. The environment is designed to please you.
You the driver, him, he is a passenger, he is a passenger, he watches the road and he enjoys the wind in his hair.
Let's take the top down, it's just this little button here. It opens all the windows and takes only 10 seconds to take the top down.
And by the way, we're going to take a little bit more. The air and the sun. It feels good to hear the waves because in Paris I don't often hear the waves. It closes the windows for me, that's more like it.
I'm in an environment that I like. It does me good.
The screens offer good visibility, even in full sunlight.
It was planned for cabriolet because often we can say the cabriolet screens to that's okay there. I haven't had the sun full in the face there on the screen yet, but this way it's rather pleasant.
We have this textured part, and all in plastic that gives us the illusion of having some kind of forged carbon.
No, why not? From afar it gives the illusion. Up close it's not serious, but we can fool our buddies. I also like the cup holders.
So, which sinks like this, which goes up, and why the mouth? And this one moves to this side.
It goes up, creating a flatter area inside, which I like. It provides a place to store a phone.
I would have preferred if it slid a bit further. Unfortunately, there's no induction charger included. The remote door opening, so look here, for example, if I want to open this one, I open this one, for example, I'm going to welcome someone, madam, get in, hop, and I can close it remotely.
That's still classy, that I like a lot. I'm gonna pick up a girl. I press the button, it makes an impression. The gearbox is here, so I find that super original. The drive, I pull this way, the reverse here, neutral and parking here. The screen displays shortcuts to commonly used menu options, which are usually found on the central screen and on this side. Then we have values here, we have profiles, we have the car settings also here. In short, we have a lot of things. We even have the weather. And thank you very much to Porto Vecchio. The weather is nice today and it feels good. I've given you a glimpse of various things here. We also have a kind of Alcantara all over this part, the small sun visor. With this part here, a little bit, you know, there, like an iPad thing, the one that folds like this, and there you go. Up. With the lighting inside, of course they light up thanks to a magnet fixed inside. Here the small gold central mirror is too very simple.
Day, night, you yourself wear the lighting, the roof, the sky. It's beautiful.
Are we a glove box? Yes, the glove box. The glove box is quite simple with velvet inside nonetheless. That's pretty good. 2 vents on this side, 1 vent here, 1 vent there. For me, we have the heated seats, of course. Another space here, we can store bottles, as you can see, and small candies. We can quite a lot. The key on the key. They made us a special key. Thanks to Mew for making a special key that changes from Roaring Raindrop. Okay, it was the thing of the time, the soul of MG, who had made what he is. I love when they make custom stuff for cars, which very few brands do. H can even open here directly with the key. My door. It should only do that when it's closed. That, on the other hand, is classy. Opening it remotely in the door, I like that, but I don't have the impression that we have remote roof lowering. I'll have to test the seats. I don't know if you've shown this Y shape here well. It's not bad. Look at the huge storage we have here for storing small bags. I have my bottle and another net. Here, Sonobos, we have to cover the doors if needed. Without electricity, we have this small deflector here for the wind. We will test everything later on the road, of course, the roll bars, in case we flip over. Then, well, all that's left is to go try this car. Are you ready? Let's go. On the road, I didn't show you the pedal set. It looks like this. We have a large footrest where we place our feet flat and press using the pivot at the bottom, starting from the tip. The brake pedal is not directly connected to the brake due to the by-wire braking system. It goes through an engine brain, then through a thing. This time we're going. Little thing, a little bag. Laval. There's ample space. I began this test in the sunlight. We freak out again, right on time on the road where it rolls a little more, and also see at the end when we freak out again. Total accumulated, so there is everything. The car has driven 573 miles at an average of 23.7 kilowatt hours per kilometer. Some people have driven this car a bit more aggressively at the same average energy consumption up to now. But what I'm going to do is reset. It's to tell me it started. So it's very strange to start in an electric convertible with the surrounding noise. And above all, it calms down a little bit all the time. And when it's stopped, it doesn't make a sound. That's really cool. I can't hear the pedestrian noise. It's pretty good.
All right, let's go. We're going to hit the road.
What's quite funny is this continuous aspect and 3.5 kilometers on the road. Since we're going to cut the sound, I am going 30 kilometers per hour. It's crazy. I can hear the guy cutting the curb. And where's the fun side of electric? So it's very quiet. Yeah, I didn't cut all the driving aids, so where's that? Already MG Pilot excess of speed, we deactivate. Driver fatigue, we deactivate. And it's back without the beeps. To fully enjoy me, my car, and my pleasure. It's beautiful Corsican road from down here, except that it's a little bit firm. It bounces a bit on the back. We have still a little bounce like that on the back. Coming out of Dodine, it's not uncomfortable either. We have good braking at the level of the curves. Here, I can have several levels of recovery that can allow me to anticipate, for example, a Dodane. And if I let go, it brakes quite hard. It's progressive, it's not actually instant. Makes a high curve, it will brake more and more. That on one side, it's not too bad because when I let go, it does that. It's not bad, I like it.
Then there's the adaptive auto mode that adjusts to the car.
Who doesn't follow me because I am in front. So on these small roads, it's quite pleasant. Now I'm at 60. With the little cap, that's the indispensable tool of the convertible driver. Little cap, sunglasses, little scarf to be able to drive all year round. In terms of steering, it's quite light when I feel it like this. It's rather well assisted, and the electric steering. We have a quite special position in this car.
We would expect it to be much lower.
Let's not forget that we have a floor with batteries, but maybe sitting a bit high to really enjoy driving. One thing to know is that when you're going to put your seat back, it's not going to go all the way back right away.
Because it says we might have put things behind. If we press the button 5 times, click, 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 click backwards.
We can then put it a little bit more. For tall people like me, it would be better to put it at 80. A hair more than the limit they set from the beginning. For the very nice side there, on this kind of small roads, is so pleasant.
I don't have the noise, gearbox, or the need to heel toe or do other things.
I really like that these are. We can also have artificial sounds in the car. There, I left it without anything to have precisely this pleasure of the electric one.
It doesn't make a noise. And so here, I'm in comfort mode, and already in comfort mode.
Or it accelerates rather well in comfort mode, and there's a certain delay. When I press the accelerator pedal, it's going to be a similar curve that goes up like this, quite high, but without it being too crazy.
Then, being able to change modes, I can switch to sport mode, sport mode. That one right away makes quite a difference.
Watch out, the man with his dog is there. Me, Max. It pushes, okay, it pushes hard.
And then there is the super sport mode here, which just finished eating.
I admit that it turns my stomach a little bit, so much so that it is powerful. 510 horses instantly. That also, more electric, it's right now, I admit that.
It wakes up quite well. It's when
the super sport mode is extremely brutal. The sport mode is also quite powerful, as the car is already very high performance.
The super sport mode, frankly, it feels like we have a big car that is turbocharged.
Who says that's it? I'm immediately ready. As though we look stunning in the towers.
The front lifts and everything with a side compartment. 110. Don't have to. There really is something to do. So in a straight line, nothing to say. It works very strong. It accelerates very strong. It brakes rather well. Let's not forget that we still have about 2,000 kilograms, but it's almost unreasonable. I can still drive in sport mode, super sport. I have a pedal that remains quite usable on the course. The beginning, if I don't press too hard, it's nice, and it still remains progressive.
However, from the moment I'm going to put more than half of the pedal, something is really going to happen.
So they have still well mapped this pedal so that it can be used both for pleasure and for everyday use.
So here, let's imagine that I come a little strong. There is a round corner, okay? He doesn't turn here, come on, we arrive a little strong. Here, it is flashing in the seats, a little bit of support. The bulges are quite soft, so they still let me go a little bit. On the side, the support is not bad at all. At the seat level, it's okay, it's a seat that is a bit more comfortable.
And when you're sitting in it, you don't feel like you're in a bucket.
It feels more like you're in a slightly more normal car seat, where the backrest is even a bit curved. It's not hollowed out compared to sports cars, so they say it's not really a sports car. It's more of a grand touring car with which one can have fun.
And above all, there will be power.
But it's not a real sports car per se, even though it has capabilities nonetheless, with a power that is quite crazy.
Look, there's a roundabout with no one around except for the incoming Twingo. Let's see how it handles the turn.
It holds up pretty well with its Pyrenees. It even holds up really well. It understeers a bit considering the weight. It leans The suspension remains slightly dynamic, not completely fixed. Ridiculous. Honestly, it holds up pretty well. When I do this, you can feel that we are still in a sporty car. She doesn't lean too much to see what it will give on small sequences of turns here in the Corsican mountains. But for the pleasure side, a ride like this, yes, he has one. I admit that it is still very pleasant. Come on, we're going to go to 70 to 70. Window closed, there is very little wind coming in. Even if I didn't have the cap there, the anti-turbulence net does its job well. I can see the screens well, despite the fact that his convertible has the sun hitting directly on the screens from behind. Absolutely no problem, we have nice brightness. They're not math slabs, but honestly we can see quite pleasantly. Driving like this for everyday use is very nice. And you can also put the top back up while driving up to 50 kilometers per hour. So here, for example, I've decided to close the roof here and it closes the windows for me. And this time, I'm in a coupe. Or to merge, I admit that you will merge very, very quickly. In a convertible, we have a triple layer roof. I feel that there are insulating foams inside, so it's made to make a lot less noise. We're good, honestly, it's a pleasant car.
I should have removed my coat after putting the convertible top back up.
A little sound, we still hear a little mechanical thing when it's closed, which we heard less earlier because precisely we had the outside air. So now we hear a little thing there that comes from the rear engine and even from the front.
There's a little thing I don't have.
I'm going to switch back to comfort mode for everyday use. No controlled suspension, however the steering is slightly lighter this time. And here we are pedal, which is much more progressive. Honestly, there is a cool side to this electric convertible, the electric car. It always has this cool side for everyday life and others. Here we have the advantage that we have a car that is beautiful, that is electric, and precisely which supposedly does not pollute. Which pleases the environmentalists, which can please us, because we have a crazy style. And at the same time, we have incredible power, with a range that remains relatively correct, even if we use it as everyday cars. A few people might use it daily, especially in the south, where the weather is nice and there are pleasant roads to drive on. In the end, we make a nice everyday car. I don't know if we can put this on the company, but as a daily car for a small business owner, an electric car, his little amusement, his little cable. We go around like this to sign contracts and other things, and sometimes when we want to have fun, even in comfort mode. Well, it still pushes quite a bit, enough. Me being 6 feet tall, I still have room at the head level. I am positioned quite high compared to the windshield pillar, so if you are taller than 1 meter, 80, you'll be positioned high. Careful, looks like zigzag in super sport mode. Holy cow, oh holy cow, it works, it holds up pretty well, and it's not bad. You can feel the weight a bit still, but it wraps a little bit cow, and it holds up pretty well, so the
Accelerations are still crazy, it holds up not too bad.
The road, let's not forget, we are on the road. We don't do just anything on the road.
We can put a little bit of rhythm, but without exceeding the speed limit.
Small roads like this, where it's 80, I find it quite pleasant, but it works. Well, let's test in a more dynamic way on a road suited for that mode. Super Sport is still really very violent. Hard braking, but it brakes electrically, so the pedal is very, very progressive.
You can feel that it brakes gently in electric at the beginning. However, if I need it, you can feel that it's going to brake hard.
Don't hesitate to press on the accelerations. My god, it sends a bit to the back. I'm driving slightly, of course, with all the aids connected. There is something to enjoy in reality.
There's no sound because I didn't activate it. I'll try to redo it later, just with the sound, the same route with the sound.
Often, even small changes can have a significant impact. Things quite different, and it holds up well in reality. It holds up really well. It's enjoyable. It works. I don't want to push it to its limits because that's not the point. On the road, Jerome Chon from TF1, who was just there with his red one, has found this beautiful little road too, and I think it's very nice because it works in real life. It's very cool, and this road looks amazing. Here, I just activated the Sonti. I put electro induction, so it makes it immediately a bit more fun. There is a little bit on the braking too, so that's funny. I love it. And in reality, it brings a little more of the sensation of acceleration, even if we feel it physically. The fact of having to see one sound, it allows to give oneself a reference point, to base oneself on something. And we can also have the second, his fuel sports car, so it's always artificial. They are based a little bit on a sports car. Why not? You might prefer the other one, which gives me a better feeling. This one feels like it's really like a fuel car, which takes a little bit of time to charge. But since the electric side is instant, it doesn't do exactly the same thing as what we wanted to feel. It's a bit different. It's rather not bad. The accelerations are still pretty crazy. Here we have the Cybersters, so following one in front is even cooler. It is true that with this sound, it's still much more enjoyable, and it holds up pretty well on the road. And there's plenty to have fun with, and it's still very, very cool to see colleagues having fun too. And well, it's nice. It's back, the little one. The sound is nice. It fades with speed. I love it on the strong axles. Okay, so the SP lets us have a little fun. However, as soon as we want to send it a bit more, the SP Thursday. Nico, you calm down all the same. You let me activate. I'm going to keep alive. Even if you floor me, I'm not going to send you the power. Please be wise in a straight line. As soon as it's engine, the SP there, and finally the SP is not too there, since precisely it drives well and it holds well. In reality, this road, we did it. We call the police, we say, please, Mr. Police, close this road, we're going to have fun. It would be indecent because it's really very pleasant, and already at 80, we're having a great time. That's what I like about this kind of small road. It's that it's 80, 90, and we can enjoy these things. Also nice with this car, it's as it is. An electric can have a good turning radius. As it's not too low either, it plays a little bit. When using in the city, what's better than an electric car for everyday use? It's very pleasant, it's a rather typical environment, and luxury cars rather than really sporty car has the beautiful finishes. We have the screens, we have all that, it's pretty nice. Jerome Chon from Automoto mentioned that he found the electric version of the Lexus LC500 to have a similar philosophy to the original to a certain extent. And I find that it's not false in relation to this environment, this interior, all focused towards the driver. Behind me, I have a 100-0, one of the very first electric cars. It arrived in France reminds me. I was working for Citroën at the auto show stand in 2012 and it was there. The C0, I think it's the ugliest car in the world. They still sold a few, but it was one of the precursors to the electric car and it was starting to arrive at that time, and today look at what they're doing. But to go from the C0 to this, an electric pleasure car. Who would have thought at the time that we would do this? Even if Tesla was already a pioneer at the time, because Tesla, the first Tesla, was the Tesla Roadster, which was based on a Lotus Elise. With big batteries, we put in a MacBook. They took the same idea, they made an electric car, and that's what it gave. The Tesla Roadster was released around 2010 to 2012, a few years later. About a decade later we have this, but more on the public side because at the time it cost more than 200,000 some. It's beautiful, technology, innovation. Well, and then there I have a little rolling kick. I have one more thing to do, which is to set my adaptive regulator. 80 here and we're all good. I'm driving around in my little sporty luxury convertible. All the driving aids, what more could you ask for? For me, it's ideal.
If you want to have fun, you disconnect everything.
If you want to drive, make long trips to go 200 kilometers from there while having fun.
The driving aids and everything, I still think that it's a real plus.
In short, for me, we have a little bit of all the best sides of the automobile, except for the side we will indeed say pleasure, where we have the gearbox, the sound, etc. But apart from that, that's it. That's also the automobile. It changes, it evolves.
I reset it, but consumption persisted. Now I'm going further north of Lille. We're returning to Porto, where we previously lived. I'm going to attempt driving like this on roads at 70-80 mph.
What's top of the top is that she doesn't do what the HS was doing there.
If she knows it accelerates strongly in a turn, it will continue to do so, even with cruise control engaged.
This is beneficial as the HS greatly limited the car from a small steering angle, but this one doesn't have that issue. I got to 50% battery, and I thought I would turn around when 50% battery. It already gives me an idea of the remaining capacity. And with 50%, it announces me 198 kilometers, to lower a little bit because I stopped, but roughly. 200 kilometers for 50%, that means 400 kilometers announced with 100%, so in reality it will surely be around 350 kilometers. With this version. On this type of road, necessarily less.
If we take the highway, I think we will get around 300, approximately on highways at 130 kilometers.
Hour. Here I decided to recap, to put myself back like this. In Super Sport, we can't put the driving aids, you have to be in comfort or sport. At 80 here, as I was here.
Unfortunately, no road at 110 kilometers per hour, 90 maximum on the island, even if there is plenty to enjoy on the small country roads.
We can have fun at 90 already in a very nice way. When I got into position, I didn't necessarily find it ideal.
There, it's been some time that driving being a little bit higher, does it?
In the end, it bothers me less because when I took over on my legs, I'm not going to have the feeling of being like that, like in a sports car.
So, what makes it a slightly less good thing for the sporty side actually makes it a little bit better for a more leisurely use. But this environment, I like it, the screens, we don't see them at all there.
The global positioning system told me to turn right, but my navigation arrow is directly in line with the steering wheel, so I couldn't see it.
I had to move my head each time, which is a shame. It's getting into early evening now. I made a U-turn. I'm at 60 kilometers covered, and quite a few towns at the end, and an average of 17.8 kilowatt hours, so it does consume a bit without really driving fast. Afterwards, we still have big tires at the back, we have large rims, we have a lot of power. We have this side, when I'm in Super Sport, of wow, which is totally astonishing. Why not? It can consume a bit more than a small Renault R5. We have a small night ambient lighting here, which appears in the evening. In short, pretty nice. Let's do a little debrief after I've driven a little more tomorrow for you. So I just reset it here. Departure from the south of Corsica towards Porto Vecchio to go to Ajaccio Airport. I am set for 2.5 hours and 135 kilometers of road.
Still on board this Cyberster. Let's go.
I'm in Ajaccio after a 87 miles journey, now crossing the city at 48% of the way. So we can get an idea of coming from Porto Vecchio to the beach in Ajaccio. It will take roughly about 50% of the battery. Having a little fun in the mountains and rather enjoying ourselves. Small idea consumption 24. I still managed to have a bit of fun, even though I had to entertain myself. I drove extensively in super sport mode with some descent in comfort mode. The car was very pleasant overall. Well, so MG at the base, it was that these little English cars now, there are several types of MG. There is the HS, which we also tried on the channel, one of the cheapest PHEVs on the market. Now, there is this new Cyberster. Basically, a somewhat sporty GT convertible with 510 horsepower and the like. A price that remains relatively affordable when we compare the new power, performance and rates. Knowing that it's a 100% electric car, it's pretty good for less than 70,000 euros.
The top of the range version will have a two-wheel drive option.
I can't wait to find out the price, and it might be the best version, even to access this very pleasant version a little cheaper. So what do we think of this Cyberster? And well, the power, these electric cars? 510 horses, it always gives me tingles in the stomach. You're going to take people, they're going to be quite impressed to try very sporty cars, no matter what we try. There's no acceleration from zero, or you'd need launch control constantly. It's disproportionate in town. The road holding remains relatively correct with big tires and rims. The braking system is good, considering the vehicle weighs 2 tons, making it a bit heavy. It's not made for circuit racing, it's not made for non-stop mountain road driving. At its core, it's a more enjoyable GT car, with which you can have a little fun, maybe try it on a circuit. Why not just for fun? But it's really more about appreciating what we have. Here we are in calm, we cross the cities, we enjoy it. It's a good car.
And above all, the appealing aspect of this red look, I admit that personally, I am more a fan of this type of colors.
I liked it, it's a pleasant car to drive, it has all the driving aids. I appreciate and would prefer adaptive cruise control on any car, even a Lamborghini or Bugatti, especially for highway driving.
Well there, I can see it. The consumption is a little bit high, I find, after we still have very big tires.
Maybe it's not the most heroic thing also when you have a convertible, but do we care about that when we have this kind of car? I don't think it will be entirely for crossing France, but it will be more for enjoying along the coast. Or even if you live in the city, to use on a daily basis. I think it's a small retirement car that can be very nice. To have fun, to have power, to have a nice look, something atypical. I would have preferred seats that are slightly more contoured, positioned a bit lower for a more typical side profile. And I was athletic. She mixes a bit of everything, with some trunk space and a small outfit at the front. It would be the rear-wheel drive version, but the engine setup underneath is unclear. There's something to be enjoyed in seeing what it gives. On a slightly longer use, with some highway and other, to see the battery life. I will surely take it back what is needed, although I find a reason to take this car back. It would be very interesting. Don't hesitate to read in the comments.
Nico, it's crucial to conduct tests over an extended period, such as on the highway.
I will ask MG to take it back because I admit that it's very, very cool as a car and I liked it. Well, if you like this video, a little blue thumb like that, don't hesitate to subscribe. Then I'll see you soon for the next one. Go on, ciao. Go on, ciao.